What's up, guys? Thanks for stopping by the shop today. My name's Danny, and recently I've gotten more and more interested in doing epoxy pours when it comes to like wood turning. A few of you may have seen some of the videos that I've been doing, but I haven't really been satisfied with the quality of the pours. They get air bubbles and voids, so on and so forth, and it can make for a real pain when you're turning on the lathe. It can also be dangerous. So today I've decided to turn this pressure paint sprayer from Harbor Freight into a pressure tank for epoxy. Check it out. All right, so this is what it looks like out of the box. It's got your air inlet, your paint outlet. It's got your hold down clamps. Out of here. Bunch of fun stuff here. Owner's manual safety instructions. Hook for what I would assume would be a paint gun. Or handle. Probably handle. Our pressure regulator. Yep. Perfect. All right, so I've got, well, what came with it? Pressure regulator. Set that aside. I've got a few parts here. I've got quarter inch cap, quarter inch elbow, quarter inch ball valve. This is an adapter. Can't remember the sizes. I think it goes quarter inch to 3/8 adapter, and of course some thread seal. This is just to be used later. So what we're gonna have to do first, we're gonna have to slide you away. We're gonna have to take a few of these pieces off of here. This needs to come off. Oh, all right, that was easy. Since we're not using this for paint, we don't need a paint pickup. So we'll lose this. Not strong enough to do that. Might have to put this in the vise. Oh yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna have to do a little work, get that part out of there. I'll be back in just a minute. Alright, I got that thing muscled up of there. Fought me just a little bit, but it wasn't terrible. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this quarter inch to 3/8 adapter and get it down, put it inside here where we just pulled that piece out. There's a bit of gunk in there. Let's see if this thing is actually going to want to go in there or not. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out this pop-off valve and put it in over here. That. And that's going to be where a regulator is going to go. Since we are making a pressure tank, we are going to cap this side . Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our ball valve. It's going to get threaded on here. Pull the tag off. Now, I'm going to take one of these. Okay, so now we've got our air inlet, our valve, that's capped off, regulator, this controls how much pressure I got going in and out of there, and then this is pop-off valve for safety measures. So right at 50 psi. I'll let this sit for a few minutes and see if the gauge moves. It's kind of interesting. I was testing the pop-off valve. I wanted to see if you could adjust it a little bit, because I don't necessarily want it to go all the way up to 60 psi. That's what the instructions or the safety manual says. Interestingly enough, I actually got it all the way up to 65 psi, and the pop-off didn't pop off. So it kind of makes you wonder what the actual rating is on this thing. I mean, if it says 60 psi, I would assume just past 60 psi it's going to pop. But that wasn't the case. I got all the way up to 65. Didn't really want to go any farther than that. So I'm just going to leave it at 50 for now. And I let it run for about 10 minutes, or let it sit for about 10 minutes. It lost maybe 1 psi over the course of that 10 minutes. So, over the course of several hours, that could be significant. But I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit longer. Sitting right around 51 psi right now. I'm gonna let it sit for a while and then just come back and check it. While I was waiting, I went ahead and just put together a little hose. I ended up going ahead and getting a 1/4 inch hose, 25 foot long. I've got a 5/8, half inch or 5/8, like 50-foot hose, and it's too much, especially for how tight my little shop is here. So I decided to get a little 25-footer, 1/4 inch, and just use it mostly for all of this stuff. Using a little blowgun here, and then also using to pressurize this. So it's been about an hour and a half, roughly. It looks like we've lost maybe 3 psi over the course of the hour and a half. So, easy math, 1 psi every 30 minutes. I don't expect this thing to be perfect. Coming from Harbor Freight, likely made in China, if I had to guess. 1 psi every 30 minutes doesn't seem awful. Over the course of, several hours, that might make a difference. But with the epoxy resin that I use, it's likely not going to make a whole lot of difference by the time the psi is reduced so much for it to be ineffective. I would imagine that the epoxy is pretty much on its way to cured. And it's something that, if I do a pour and, I could always just check back, later on that day or the next morning and, top off, the pressure on the tank. So I don't think it's a deal breaker. I can always, get some, soapy water and see if it's one of the fittings or something. It's possible that's where it's coming from. My guess would be it's just where the lid actually meets the tank itself. There is no gasket. I don't know that there should be one. I would imagine that based on pressure, it's going to want to push the gasket out with just more and more pressure. So all in all, I'd say this is a win. It's definitely going to, I guess the hope is that it's actually going to make these epoxy pours a little bit cleaner, a little safer when turning pieces on the lathe. That way you don't have those big voids that you're going to hit with your turning tool, and it makes it decently safer. So I guess the next thing to do would be to mix up some epoxy and do a bit of a test But you know what? I think I'm actually going to save that for another video. So if you guys have any questions or comments or anything about this whole process, please just leave those down in the comment section. If you find any of this content entertaining or interesting in any way, please just smack that like button. I greatly appreciate it. So that's all I got for this video, guys. Catch you later.